Today we're taking a look at our RhinoCam Vertex stitching adapters for Sony E-mount APS-C cameras. We currently offer 4 RhinoCam Vertex stitching adapters for Sony APS-C crop sensor cameras. This is the Sony a6700. We're going to be using this camera today, but these will work with any Sony E-mount camera that has an APS-C crop-sized sensor. The 4 adapters we currently offer are Minolta MD to Sony, Canon EF to Sony, Nikon F and G to Sony, and Canon FD to Sony. These all adapt full-frame lenses to the Sony APS-C camera. The adapters offset the sensor of the camera. Then you rotate the sensor of the camera around the vertex or center of the full-frame lens, capture 4 photos, and then you stitch these photos together in post for a full-frame plus image. Let me show you how to set up this adapter. Today we're going to be using the Canon FD RhinoCam Vertex stitching adapter. To mount a Canon FD lens on this adapter, we have to make sure this install arrow is lined up properly. So it's lined up. And today we're going to be using this Vivitar 28mm Canon FD lens. And all I have to do is line up the red mounting dot on the lens with the red mounting dot on the adapter, press the lens into the adapter, and then I'm actually going to rotate the locking ring on the lens itself. Then once that's in place, I can rotate this install wheel there. And just like that, we've got this 28mm Canon FD lens adapted to our RhinoCam Vertex stitching adapter. And then to mount the lens and adapter onto our Sony E camera, we're just going to line up the red mounting dot on the adapter with the white mounting dot on the Sony E, press the adapter into the camera, and rotate it to lock it into place. And just like that, we've got this vintage full-frame lens adapted to our Sony APS-C camera. And this is a stitching adapter, which means this adapter is designed to capture 4 images of different parts of the image circle of this full-frame lens. And the way you do that is you lock this adapter down on a tripod. This is an Arca-Swiss style tripod foot. And then you lock it into place so the lens is stationary, it's not moving. And then you actually are rotating the camera itself to 4 capture points around the vertex or center of the lens. And I can actually show you better with the lens removed. You can see the sensor is offset. And as we rotate it, the sensor is moved to different areas of the image circle of the adapted full-frame lens. And it's 4 different points. So we're going to capture a photo at this point, snap, go to the second point, snap, third point, snap, fourth point, snap. Then we've got those 4 images of different parts of the image circle of this full-frame lens. We're then going to take these 4 images into post, into Photoshop in my case, and use the photo merge function to stitch these 4 images together into a square full frame plus image. Let's go back outside so I can show you exactly how to use this RhinoCam Vertex adapter to capture 4 image stitches. To shoot a stitched photo with this setup is pretty simple. There are a couple things you have to set up first. First off, you're going to want to lock the adapter down on a tripod because we don't want the lens moving at all between the 4 stitched images. This adapter has an Arca-Swiss tripod foot, Arca-Swiss style tripod foot. It also has a 1/4-20 mounting point if you want to use it on a 1/4-20 tripod. It's best to use it on an Arca-Swiss tripod like this because we just want to slide it on right at the end here. And the reason we only want it on the very edge is because we have to rotate the camera 360 degrees and we don't want the grip bumping into the tripod. So we want to mount it like that. So this is the best setup. First off, you're going to want to choose a focus, obviously focus on your scene. Secondly, you're going to want to pick an aperture. This is a non-electronic adapter. There's no electronic communication between the Sony and the lens, so you do have to manually focus and manually pick an aperture. Next up, you're going to want to pick a color balance. You don't want the color balance to be set to auto because as you're shifting to different parts of the image circle of this lens, the camera's color balance sensor might change a little bit and then that creates a stitched photo where the color balance shifts between the four corners. You don't want that. Next, you're gonna want to pick a shutter speed. So really, you're gonna wanna be shooting in manual mode. You don't wanna use aperture or shutter priority. Pick a shutter speed, and then once you have that all set up, you're ready to take your 4 stitched images. Creating a stitched photo with this adapter, when you look through the viewfinder or you look at the screen on the back, you're not seeing the full image. As you rotate the adapter, you're seeing the 4 parts of your final stitched image. So to compose your stitched shot, you're actually going to want to adjust and then rotate again to see what's in your frame. So you may have to do this a couple times to get it right. Okay, we've got the focus, aperture, shutter speed, color balance. We have it all composed. We're ready to take our 4 images. So it's really simple. We're just going to take our first shot, rotate to the second position, take our second shot, rotate to the third position, take our third shot, rotate to the fourth position, take our fourth shot, and just like that, we've captured 4 images with an APS-C crop sensor through this full frame lens. We can then take these images into post. I like to take it into Photoshop, use the photo merge function, and I merge these 4 photos together into a square stitched image. And this is a full frame plus image. We're actually capturing more of the image circle of this full frame lens than a full frame sensor would. We're capturing a square image. So think of a full frame sensor with a little bit on the top and bottom. So it's more of a square image than a rectangular one. So that's why I call it full frame plus. You're getting a little bit more of the image circle than you would with a full frame camera. Now, our RhinoCam Vertex adapters are not designed to replace other types of photo stitching. Like there's certain methods where you can actually take lots of different pictures and move the camera around. That's a great method for creating stitched images, and you can get way more resolution than you can with our RhinoCam Vertex. This is more designed for capturing more of the image circle of a single adapted lens, and you're not moving the lens at all. So rather than moving the lens around, the lens is stationary and you're moving the sensor. So it's kind of like we are turning this APS-C sensor into a full frame plus sensor. It's kind of like we're creating a digital stitching back for this full frame lens. Again, it's not designed to replace other methods of photo stitching. It's a very unique product designed specifically to capture more of the image circle of an adapted lens. Now, a couple things to keep in mind when you're shooting stitched photos. Make sure there's no like crowd scenes or traffic moving around, because when you're moving the camera sensor and taking the 4 photos, some of those things might be moving. If there's people, they might move around and be in different locations. A car might drive out of frame and disappear. So generally speaking, when you're creating a stitch shot, make sure there's not a lot of traffic or movement. Now, we found with foliage, with waves, Photoshop and other stitching programs do a pretty good job smoothing out any movement. If there's some slight wind between the 4 images, that's generally not a problem. It's really larger movement or subjects completely leaving the frame that create problems when you're doing a 4-image stitch. Now, one of the ways to deal with this is to use a long exposure and blur the motion. Like if you're shooting water and there's big waves, just shoot a long exposure, shoot 4 photos with a long exposure, and this creates beautiful blurred motion so you don't have those issues. You could do this with traffic or crowds as well. A long exposure is gonna blur those crowds, blur that traffic, and make for a much easier stitch. Okay, that'll do it for today's video about our Sony APS-C RhinoCam Vertex stitching adapters. If you have any questions about these adapters, comment below. I'd love to help you out. Also, click the links in the description below to get your Sony APS-C RhinoCam Vertex adapter today. Also, click the links in the description below to check out our entire line of RhinoCam Vertex adapters that use medium format lenses on full frame sensor cameras. We have an entire line of different types of lenses, different types of cameras. So if you don't have a Sony APS-C, we probably still have a RhinoCam Vertex adapter for you. Plus, click right here to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more videos just like this one.